Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Higher or Lower, the show brought to you by SpreadX, Sporting Index and oddschecker as we look ahead to the weekend's football and say if we think the results of spread betting markets will be higher or lower than the midpoint of the markets with SpreadX and Sporting Index. I'm your host, George Ellick, delighted to be joined by Jack Wright and Dan Worth.
Hey, mate.
Pretty happy we didn't do a Carabao Cup show, given Norwich and Oxford between us lost 9-0.
Wasn't great, was it?
No, but at least Reading, plum tie, massive, going away to the giants of football in the world.
Yeah, I was saying to Jack earlier, I think it's probably the worst possible tie, really.
Why?
Far away, not that interested.
You don't play Wrexham every week, do you?
Country.
As a Reading fan.
We played them twice last season.
Yeah, but never again, though.
We did beat them last season as well.
At least to be beamed across the United States.
Yeah, true.
Otherwise, we've got a good weekend's worth of games this weekend. We've got Championship, Premier League, and for the first time ever, a bit of Scottish Premiership as well.
We do, yeah.
Excited with the old firm, with Celtic in slightly less amount of disarray than Rangers. So we'll get onto that shortly. But let's get stuck into it. We're going to look at the Friday night football first. In the Championship, should be a cracking game this. Leicester hosting Birmingham City. Leicester have started the season with a couple of wins, but not been particularly convincing. Birmingham making the transition from League One to the Championship look pretty easy. Total goals is the market we're looking at here. 2.4 to sell, 2.6 to buy. We're going higher or lower. 3, 2, 1. Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, I wasn't really sure, to be honest with you.
Fair enough.
Start with a strong selection.
Big fancy.
I think it's going to be tight. I can't work out really which way this one's going to go. I don't think there's going to be too many times this season where we're going to see Birmingham as the underdogs, and obviously only marginal. It's 0.1 midpoint as far as SpreadX is concerned on Supremacy. But I just think it's going to be a tight affair. Leicester, kind of much needed win really, wasn't it, last week against Charlton? Again, that was another tight one. Huffed and puffed in their only home game of the season against Sheffield Wednesday. It was that late winner with Wednesday down to 10 men. I don't think they've quite gelled yet. Obviously, there's been a fair bit of transition, a little bit of noise around the club as well. I think that could be the difference here as far as Birmingham are a little bit more cohesive. Obviously, bringing that momentum, as you then said, through in from League One. But I don't think we've seen the best of either. So it could be one of those games where that clicks and happens. I feel that Birmingham might see this as a tough challenge, so therefore want to make sure they're compact, tight, tough to beat, which we've seen a fair bit of this season already. I've just got in my head this could be a 1-0 either way or a 1-1 draw, obviously, which would mean going lower for me. So flash of individual brilliance maybe for Leicester to win it, or just the team effort and the momentum for Birmingham. So I've gone with a lower.
Yeah, not a strong one necessarily for me, but I think there's enough attacking talent in Leicester's lineup, especially with Fatah off the right hand side, who's obviously so impressive. Ayew up front, or Patson Daka if he comes in. Even Monga, the 16-year-old, who's looking very sharp off the left hand side. Mavididi, I think might be back for this one, but unconfirmed. But crucially for me, this is about Birmingham, because Birmingham started the season so well, looked really, really impressive in all of their games. But in Kyogo, they have a player who scored loads of goals for Celtic over a period of time, whose finishing ability is very clear to anyone to see, yet he's missing loads of sitters. I watched the game against us. They played Oxford on Saturday. He missed 3 sitters in the first half. He missed a couple of really good chances previously too. And that's not going to continue. If they continue creating the chances for him that they are, he's going to score goals. And the way that Birmingham set up under Chris Davis, the way that, if you look at their games, the game against Oxford was against a side who looked to frustrate them and sit deep and effectively let them have the ball, outside the final third. Then we looked to snap in as soon as they came into it. But when they played against Ipswich, albeit it was only 1-1, but it was a really open game. When they played against Sheffield United in the Cup, these are games against teams that came out against them and they were able to kind of run riot. And there's, even though Martí Cifuentes, if we're going to do it properly, is a manager whose success comes from, relatively strong defences, there's no way that Leicester at home are going to sit in and soak against Birmingham. Not a chance. And if they do, the fans will make their feelings very clear. So my take on Chris Davis's Birmingham is that their games this season are going to go one of two ways. Either it's going to be like last season in League One, where they come up against a low block and they try and pick a way through, and it'll eventually probably come, if not from Stansfield and Kyogo, then from Pike, as was the case last weekend, or Iwata or Doyle or one of their midfield players. But against teams where they're going to look to step out and be a bit more open, which we never saw last season, we've already seen a little bit this season, I think they should be pretty end-to-end, and I've been impressed with Birmingham so far. So, yeah, going over. Dan?
Yeah, not much more to add. This landed in the last 3 games between these sides, which were obviously when both teams were last in the Championship a couple of seasons back. Okay. So it's super relevant to this
really
time.
Relevant. Yeah,
not much has changed.
Yeah, nothing has changed.
No, not at all.
At all about Birmingham since then. You know, yeah.
But lots of attacking expertise on show. And I always think with this line, if I'm anticipating both teams scoring, then taking on 3 goals seems pretty much okay. So that's exactly what I'm doing. I think both teams score here, so it's a higher.
Perfect. Right, on to the all-West London clash. Not much separates these two in terms of geography. Chelsea hosting Fulham. The total goal minutes is the market we're looking at here. Spreadex have the line as 149 to sell, 159 to buy. So this is the total accumulative minutes in which goals are scored within the game. 154? Interesting. Higher or lower? 3, 2, 1. I'm like a broken record on this. I feel like every time Chelsea play at home, you stick in a total goal minutes, and I'm going lower and you guys are going higher.
I've got to win one time.
Is that why? Variance, you're learning.
Yeah.
This is it. As I always say, there's a perception around Chelsea that their game's really high scoring, and if you look at recent history, especially at Stamford Bridge, it's just not the case. It's in one home game already this season. They drew it 0-0. It was a pretty dour affair. Looking at last season as well, especially in recent times, their home games, 1-0 against Manchester United, 1-0 against Everton. Sorry, 1-0 against Manchester United, 1-0 Everton, 1-0 Tottenham, 1-0 Leicester. You know, Chelsea defensively at home are very strong, but they didn't click at home in their opening game. I know obviously it was a different case on the road, in a I would say easier assignment, but I'm going to go with the trends here. Always with total goal minutes, I'm looking to get against them. Fulham's game against United was not without late action, but again, it was a game that only contained 2 goals. So yeah, 1-5-4. Again, it feels to me like a game where we could get 3 goals and still be well under. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if this is a game where we see 1 or even 0. So it's a lower for me. Dan, as is always the case with total goal minutes, you reckon there are going to be loads of goals and late goals?
Yes, more one than the other this time, to be fair, because I've genuinely changed my answer here about 5 times this morning, because it's very tough.
You can do so again if you want.
I'm going to stick with higher,
Okay.
But it's not necessarily that I think there'll be loads of goals this time, because as you said, Fulham reduced Man United to relatively little, and yes, Chelsea scored 5 against West Ham, but I don't think the form lines against West Ham at the moment they don't really count in my book. But lots of late goals between these two teams in their recent meetings. 90th minutes in goals in their last 3 between the two, and that was literally what swayed me. 3 goals in the last 2 meetings too. If we get 3 goals and 1 late on, then this line cops. So that's my thinking here.
Jack?
Change the record, George. Goodness sake.
Hey,
I know.
there we go.
I also changed my mind this morning from what I'd put down last night.
Ooh, so does it say on there? Handwritten notes this week.
Yeah, I was handwritten notes. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So as you can see, scribbled out.
Yeah, I can.
Just in case I've forgotten myself. But no, so obviously, complete polar opposites really with the Chelsea performances this season in the league. 0-0, 5-1. You've touched on that already. I think for me, Fulham, their main thing is they seem to love both teams to score. So, as we say, if you're getting 2 goals in the game and a side pushing for a winner, in that case, then that always puts you in with a chance at this line, which isn't that high considering. And it was the late goals as well that were the key element for me, especially Liverpool. Where's that come from? Fulham games. And you're right. Last season, effectively 2 mirror images of 2-1 wins, both for the away side in this fixture. The game here at Stamford Bridge was 16, 82 and 90, coming to 188. The away game at Craven Cottage was 20, 83 and 90, coming in at 193. It's the 4th in the last 7 games saw added on time goals scored for Fulham, and 11 of the last 20 have seen at least 1 goal in 80 minutes plus. Wow. So there is a real record of that across the last, say, 20 away games for them. They've only failed to score in 3 away games from last season and into this season. So that 90+7 last time out at Brighton was a fairly common theme. So that's why I've ended up going higher.
Next up, we have Leeds hosting Newcastle. Leeds beaten 5-0 last weekend, albeit I got this one right by going higher in the first match goal at 31.5, even though they conceded 5. But yeah, obviously not ideal for them drawing 1-1 with Sheffield Wednesday in the Carabao Cup, a Sheffield Wednesday team of basically kids, and they lost on penalties. So first match goal here, 34.5 is the midpoint. So if you go lower, you think there'll be a goal in the first 34 minutes. Higher, the first goal will come at 35th minute or after. 3, 2, 1. We're on the same page here. Leeds are a really good defensive side at Ellen Road.
Yeah.
It was the same last season where they were still very good away from home, but they weren't as good away from home. Yet it is fortress Ellen Road.
Yes.
And I think again here, even though Leeds were well beaten against Arsenal, they did keep it tight for the first half an hour or so. They are a team who are defensively pretty well drilled. It's obviously not ideal. They come into this off the back of losing on penalties away at Sheffield Wednesday's reserves, where Sheffield Wednesday don't really even have reserves. And they were still able to get knocked out of the cup in that manner. But I expect them to bounce back, against Everton, who are, I think the form of their opening day win against Everton, but not necessarily just the result, the manner of the result, where Everton basically couldn't get near them for the majority of the game, has obviously aged pretty well with Everton's performance in their first home game of the season next time out, where they look really sharp, albeit thanks to Jack Grealish, who wasn't playing in that first hour or so. But I think Leeds will be a different proposition at home. I still think they're a side that teams will struggle to break down. And even though Newcastle have looked lively going forward, they are obviously still lacking that striker. So it wouldn't have surprised me if there are goals later in this game. But I expect Leeds to provide really stern opposition to good attacking sides at Ellen Road, and this is one of those occasions. So I'm hoping to repeat the trick from last week. But Jack, why do you think there's going to be a goal early?
Well, indeed, yeah, very much echoing what you've now just said, really, to be fair. But I think the pressure's on Daniel Farke a little bit already after that Sheffield Wednesday performance in midweek and the exit from the Cup, which I don't think their fans were expecting too much. And, of course, after shipping 5 goals at Arsenal, possibly an expectation on that. But, again, I think the expectation at Leeds is to be a bit more competitive than that. So I think he's also going to want to kind of prove that he isn't going to be this manager that potentially was his reputation at Norwich, where in the Premier League they just got steamrolled by the better sides, the bigger sides, which you've got to put Newcastle into that same bracket as, and they just concede too many goals. So I think he'll want to look to keep it tight, and you're right as well. Again, that Everton performance was kind of that template you expect from Leeds. All action, real good pressure, good hustle, didn't let Everton settle at all, and I think we should see the same kind of thing here with Newcastle. Say very strong at home at Leeds, very good defensive processes, underestimated, 21 beaten, obviously across 2 divisions now, but 118, 14 clean sheets in there, speaks for itself. And I think they've improved that defensive area as well. And I've got to look at Newcastle and going, where the goal's going to come from? They are down to their bare bones, really. No Isak, we assume. I can't see that issue being resolved just yet. Obviously no Anthony Gordon either, who was playing as the central striker. No Joe Linton, he's definitely out. Possibly no Tonali, wait for news on that as well. So two-thirds of that real dynamic midfield, which will be very important against Leeds with the energy that they need in that. And probably no Fabian Schär as well, because I think it was a concussion situation there. So I think Newcastle are going to have to look to take stock a little bit here. They'll know what Leeds are going to bring, and I think they'll want to make sure they take the sting out of Leeds before they then actually look to go and punish them at the other end. So get a foothold in the game, and therefore, yeah, I expect the goals to come, but later on.
Sam?
Yeah, much the same here. Newcastle also conceded the fewest XG of any team in the Premier League, with lower than 1 from their first 2 games. And this line has only copped in that game that we spoke about last week, and that was the 34th minute goal. So you're looking at a 0.5 point winner here, which, yeah, if that's the case, I won't be too upset. But I do think this looks on the higher side, so that's where I'm at.
Right, midday kickoff. All eyes go to Glasgow. Rangers hosting Celtic. Rangers beaten 6-0 by Club Brugge in the Europa League qualifying on Wednesday night. Russell Martin coming under some serious scrutiny, but also Celtic dumped out of the Champions League as well on penalties. So it's hard to think of a time where these two clubs were in more disarray. So who's in the more disarray? Despite Celtic being the away team here, they are favourites. We're looking at the Supremacy market with spread X 0.35, the sell price 0.55, the buy price. So higher here is a Celtic win, lower is Rangers or draw. 3, 2, 1. Take it away. We're all backing Celtic. Russell Martin. We should say we're recording this at 9:40 on Thursday morning.
Yeah.
Russell Martin is still in post,
Yes.
as it is,
Yep.
but that might change even before this goes out, because it feels quite hard to see him coming back from this.
Indeed, and it's a mad situation to be in so early in his tenure, but they look a shambles of a football club at this moment in time. A disaster class in midweek, really. Early goal conceded, red card, chasing already a 3-1 deficit, to lose 9-1 on aggregate, and they were lucky that Ruger thought, well, we've had enough here, we'll declare at that point of time. Early in the second half, they'd done enough. Discontent in the squad, all that you would normally think about a manager towards the end of his tenure, having been there a little while and it's just kind of unravelled. They're at that point already. There's already Russell Martin's talking about a lack of harmony in the club, talking about players that don't fight for each other, aren't putting in enough effort, and when that gets levelled at effectively a whole changing room, that tends to go one way, that the changing room goes, all right, well, we're going to sort of throw you under the bus, and there's no bigger game to throw him under the bus than a home game against Celtic. And I have that feeling that the players are in that sort of state of mind at the minute, saying, we've not bought into you, we're not really liking what you've done or how you're going about it. We'll cop this, get a bit of flack for 90 minutes, but ultimately get what they want. So, yeah, Celtic aren't in great shape on the European scene, but again, standard stuff from them. 3 wins on the spin in the Scottish Premiership, yet to concede a goal as well. And I just feel that the way Russell Martin will want Rangers to play here will leave themselves open for Celtic getting in that final third and taking advantage with the players that they've got. So, yeah, for me, this is a Celtic win, and possibly then the end of Russell Martin's very, very short reign.
Dan?
Yeah, I think if this gets ugly for Rangers, you've got to think that is probably the final straw already for Russell Martin, which is kind of crazy. And you spoke about the Champions League, the European ties. I've kind of had to ignore them because they were both so poor, and look at the league form. As you said, 3 wins for Celtic without conceding a goal, 3 draws for Rangers. Literally that alone has made me think Celtic win here. So it's a higher. Celtic obviously haven't conceded, but they also haven't really been conceding that many chances. Only 1.12 XG conceded. Can Rangers pose any threat? I haven't seen anything really to suggest that they will put Celtic under pressure. So just needing a Celtic win here by 1 goal or more seems quite nice. So yeah, higher.
Yeah, for Russell Martin, we've seen before when he took Southampton up and they started really poorly. It's funny because he's obviously an idealist in the way that he likes to play and is relatively stubborn in that fact, and was against Southampton. But his best moment, the one moment of his career where he delivered a promotion, it was the one time in his career where he tore up the game plan, and they played against Leeds in the playoff final and sat deep and soaked up the pressure, and were very good at doing it. But they were horrendous, obviously, last night. I should correct myself. I said it was a Europa League qualifier. Of course, it was a Champions League qualifier. Like Max Aarons' decision to tug the defender back was just crazy that early in the game. It was obviously going to be a red card as soon as he did it. But there's just no getting away from it. It feels like they're in a tailspin. And for Celtic, even though they had their frustration midweek, it wasn't quite as desperate a performance, albeit obviously against worse opposition. Yeah. But it feels now like, if Martin is still in post on Sunday, I just don't really see a way out for them at the moment. And this is a Celtic team that are favourites away from home for a reason, because they are the better side, better results recently. So, right, let's look next at Brighton hosting Manchester City. Brighton fresh off scoring 6 at the mighty Oxford United on Wednesday night.
Some result that.
A lot of their reserve team players making a case to be included on the matchday squad. Yeah. Hosting Man City, total goals, the market we're looking at here, 3.2 is the midpoint, 3.1 to sell, 3.3 to buy. Are we going higher or lower? 3, 2, 1.
Oh no.
Here we go.
And on my market as well.
Yeah.
It's another one that I've struggled to pick out, to be honest.
Okay.
But I'm just not sure with Brighton going forward. And my thinking here is that I don't think they score against Man City this week, and then for City to need to score more than 3 for this to cop seems a little bit of a stretch. But I know what you're going to say, that Man City have covered this line on their own against Brighton in, was it 3 of the last 6?
I would never say that.
No,
Irrelevant.
because it's completely irrelevant. And I actually agree with you on this, Mark. Yeah, I'll pick and choose when that works for me.
Yeah.
And it works perfectly here, completely irrelevant.
Right.
I think City win 2-0. I'm thinking more like a 2 or 3-0, which would both mean that lower wins.
Yeah.
I fancy Brighton to get something from this. I think they'll go into it pretty bullish about their chances. I think they were obviously very unlucky against Fulham in that opener at home, where they were textbook Brighton, really. Created lots of chances, missed lots of chances, took the lead going into 90 plus 6, I think it was, and conceded, I think, pretty much with Fulham's only chance of the game, and then sort of repeated the trick against Everton. Away from home, where Welbeck missed the open goal, missed the penalty, they hit the woodwork. It was one of those. They're creating lots of chances. They just need to put them away. But we have been saying that for a few years. But I think they do seem to raise their game and become a little bit more clinical when they're taking on the better sides. They seem to like that a little bit more. And I also don't think they're going to keep Man City out either. So on that basis, I do fancy a minimum of 3 goals in this one. I said they will take confidence from the fact they did hit their straps, albeit against Oxford last night, Brighton. You look at last season's games with 2-1 and 2-2. So again, they've got the confidence from that they can bring to this. The last 13 meetings in the league between the two sides have seen 48 goals. That's an average of 3.69. 8 of those games have seen 4 or more goals. 3 saw exactly 3, so a very minimal loss. There was only 2 that saw 2 goals. Even that is a small loss. So I think this looks like a fun game, and I think both sides will be going all out for the win. Man City can't afford to drop too many more points already at this stage of the season. So I think 2 sides will go for it, open, end to end, plenty of goals.
Can I surprise you?
I love a surprise.
So Manchester City, since losing 5-1 away from home at Arsenal on February the 2nd, their away results since then: a 1-0 win over Tottenham, a 1-0 defeat against Forest, a 0-0 draw at United, a 2-0 win against Everton, a 0-0 draw with Southampton, a 2-0 win over Fulham, and then a 4-0 win over Wolves, of course, in the first game of the season. So they've only conceded 1 goal away from home in the 7 games since that 5-1.
Yeah.
So they're going to concede loads here, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, or
not. Especially with James Trafford in goal.
But it's... Careful. I don't know. But this is a game where, again, I don't think that away record with clean sheets is going to be sustainable for City. It's not a case where they're completely shutting teams out. When you consider the opposition they're playing, back end of last season, Everton, Southampton, even United, like terrible attacking sides, and even Wolves to start this season. They look really good away from home against Wolves. I do wonder if sometimes teams who are struggling for form can enjoy playing away from home a bit more because the pressure's kind of a bit off, and the onus to go out and dominate isn't necessarily there, and teams come out a bit. I think we can definitely expect Brighton to come out and play.
Yep.
So I think it should be end to end. And given, obviously City had some finishing woes against Spurs in the week, but and obviously Welbeck missed the penalty against Everton. What a save from Jordan Pickford, by the way. So they should be fine. So I think it's a game where I imagine both teams will certainly find the back of the net, and if that's true, then getting past 3 should be doable. On then to the game between the 2 title favourites, Liverpool hosting Arsenal. Jack, you want a ticket for this, don't you?
Yes, please, yeah. If anyone's got two tickets, please. Yeah, if anyone's got 2 tickets, then please drop me
one, what if they've got 1?
Sorry, Marty. Have a good afternoon on your own.
Liverpool are favourites, of course, due to home advantage. 0.3 is the sell price, 0.5 the buy price, so 0.4 is the midpoint. So higher here is a Liverpool win, lower is Arsenal or draw. 3, 2, 1. We're all laying Liverpool.
We are. Wow.
You can't believe it.
Why?
Take it. Well, you tell me.
Wow. What have Liverpool done so far this season? They've hit 6 points, and I don't quite know how they managed to do that. And obviously that game on Monday night was an incredible watch, but boy, how fortunate were Liverpool in pretty much every single aspect of that game. We're getting battered, and I'd said to Fred literally about 10 seconds before they scored, what's going to come first? Is it going to be the red card, or is it going to be a goal against the run of play for Liverpool? And it was just about the goal against the run of play, and then the red card for Anthony Gordon. you would think changes the dynamic of the game. Then the early goal in the second half, everything couldn't have been better for Liverpool, and they still then look so vulnerable defensively. So that's my main issue here, is how can Liverpool keep out Arsenal? Yeah, no Saka is definitely out, probably no Odegaard as well, but what a great time for Ebenezer Eze to step up and go, here I am,
really
here I am. So, and maybe Madueke as well, like, we said about where does he fit into this Arsenal side? Better on the right-hand side, that's Saka's domain. Well, he's now got the opportunity to say, well, this is what I can do
or
as
will
well.
it be Ethan Nwaneri?
Well, there's choices, isn't it? And that's the main thing, I think, for me. If it was down to the fact that Arsenal haven't got that strength in a depth and that strength in attack, then I think that might be more of a question mark. But to get the draw and an Arsenal win on side, when Arsenal have got that power going forward, and you would say the best defence over the last couple of seasons, and looking already to be the best defence this season, I think that that was going to be an interesting battle against probably one of the best attacks in the league. So defence versus attack, will they even themselves out? I think they might well do. I quite fancy a draw in the game. I don't think either side would be that disappointed if it ended that way either. Both games ended in a draw last season. That made it 4 of the last 5 league meetings ending in a stalemate as well. Liverpool haven't won this fixture in the league since 2022. So I'm going to follow the trend.
Yeah, a bit concerned that Martin Odegaard also seemingly injured. I know he's not particularly popular at the moment with Arsenal fans, but I think his energy and work rate when you play against the Liverpool side, who are going to bring that in abundance, will be a bit of a loss. Albeit I am quite excited, as you say, about the prospect of potentially, it could even be as a 10, Nwaneri, or Nwaneri as a 10, Madueke on the right and Eze off the left, which would be pretty fun if we do get to see that. But yeah, really impressed with Arsenal against Leeds. Obviously, Arsenal went at their best against United on opening day, but got the job done. It's just, I often think with these games at the top end of the table as well, with both teams just happily walk away with a point before you get there, like probably yes. Also, there's an element where if Liverpool take the lead early, they're going to want to sit on their lead. If Arsenal take the lead early, they're going to want to sit on their lead. So it becomes a game-by-game state, plays a massive part in it too. So yeah, it's not a massive anti-Liverpool or pro-Arsenal kind of bias with this one. And obviously the loss of Saka is a massive blow for Arsenal, but they do seem to have the tools at the moment to be able to mitigate that. So happy to, on the balance of things, think that a draw or an away win is more likely than a home win. Dan?
Yeah, a draw is a huge, huge player here. And Arsenal have a great record against the top 6 over the last 2 seasons now. And that could continue here. But as you both said, I think both sides will be happy with a draw, as we saw twice last season, 2-2. But simply put, Arsenal haven't conceded a goal yet this season, and Liverpool have conceded 4. They look the much better defensive side of the 2. And you've got to think, if Arsenal can get a lead here, then this line looks massively in our favour.
I think we've seen both sides of Arsenal this season already. When they're on it, yes, albeit against the newly promoted side in Leeds, but still a decent side. Arsenal can go and run riot, and also when they're not quite at it, that was really impressive that they dug in and managed to get that clean sheet and a win. They have the ability to do that, and I'm interested to see a matchup to on Sunday. Gyökeres, who obviously got a couple of goals, we kind of expected him to score against the lower ranked sides, but if he can pull off and attach himself to Kouyaté, I think that could be a real. Because Kouyaté looks all over the place at the moment for me. If he's playing, I think then that could be a real area of where Arsenal can exploit Liverpool. So I'm interested to see how that one pans out.
Okay, nap time. Dan the man, what's your best bet of the weekend?
I'm going against Wolves here. I quite fancy Everton on their trip to Molineux. Since the start of the season, since we spoke about it, I've been very sweet on Everton. I think they've made some astute signings. I love Jack Grealish, as I'm sure we all do, and he looks to have found his feet. I know he didn't play too much in the first game, but in the second game, he looked to be having a massive impact. The partnership that him and Ndiaye already have seems like it will be a solid one for Everton. And I think in the post-match, he was saying that Moisey has kept them separated in training for some reason, and that was the first time they'd actually played together. And immediately you just see what it does to the Everton attack. And I thought they looked much better, and I think they're going to have a strong season. And Wolves, on the other hand, I think that they've just been pretty poor. They've created the fewest XG of any team with 1.09 and conceded the second highest non-penalty XG of any team in the league. And they're one of only 2 teams yet to score. And I think if Everton can keep a clean sheet against Wolves, then I'm in with a very good chance here. And I just think Everton win. So that's me.
Nice. I'm sticking in the same game, but I'm looking at bookings in this game. buying bookings at 47. Michael Oliver on the whistle. He has shown 1 card in his first 2 games, and that came very late in West Ham Chelsea. That's not going to continue. He loves giving cards.
He does.
Michael. He gave 4 in the Nice Benfica qualifier at the beginning of August. He was out in Paphos, lucky boy,
Nice.
for the 1-0 draw against Red Star on Tuesday night. 6, so made up 60. If you're looking at this season, Everton top the charts for most yellow cards in the Premier League so far with 6.
Not unusual.
Wolves top the charts for the most booking points because of 5 yellows and a red.
Yeah, not unusual either. Lovely.
There you go.
I like it.
Tickets, please.
Indeed. Bring it on.
Jack.
I'm going to go with the same market that I went with last week, unsuccessfully, unfortunately, but this week will be successful. I am going in the headed goal minutes, and I am going to Nottingham Forest versus West Ham. The midpoint is 32.5. I am going higher because West Ham looks so vulnerable. They look in absolute shambles at the back. Obviously, the whole club at the moment seems to be, we've talked about unravelling at Rangers, a similar situation seems to be here at West Ham. Obviously saw the Bowen incident during the week where he had to be kind of held back, which he later apologised for. But this comes down to the fact that West Ham have conceded 11 goals in 3 games across all competitions so far this season. 4 of those are headers. Plus they conceded 2 more from corners, non-headed corners, but the fact that they're conceding from set pieces as well in that game against Chelsea alone. Forest put the most crosses in the Premier League into the box so far, 41 crosses in their 2 opening league games, and West Ham have conceded the most headed attempts with 7. Only 1 team has allowed more headed attempts at goal than that in the league, and that happens to be Forest. So
Perfect.
It all kind of works together, and the main man for Forest, 2 goals to his name already this season, is Chris Wood. 8 headed goals last season, was the most across any Premier League player, twice as many as the next best, including Isak and Haaland, and they've also got the threat of Milenkovic as well, plus others. And I just think that this could well be a bit of an aerial contest, and therefore we could see at least 1, if not multiple, headed goals. So 32.5.
Love it. Headed goal minutes. Beauty there. And that brings this week's episode of Higher or Lower to a close. Thank you very much to Dan and to Jack for sharing their tips, thoughts. You right?
Yeah, I was just going to say thank you.
That's okay. There you go.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure. Absolute pleasure. Are we back next week? International break, isn't it?
No then.
Probably not back next week. But in the meantime, make sure you check out SpreadX and Sporting Index. If you haven't got an account already, make sure you click in the link in the description below. There is a new customer offer there. So do click on that. Make sure you read up on the risks of spread betting before you do start with them. Remember that losses can exceed your initial deposits. Oddschecker have you covered for your fixed odds betting needs, and whoscored.com will have all the stats that will help you inform your bets. In the meantime, enjoy the football. We'll see you again soon. Please ensure that you're gambling responsibly.